I don't know if this is appropriate. I genuinely don't. And I don't want to upset anybody. Nice. I am obviously very much in the business of upsetting nasty people. But I don't want to upset anyone who doesn't deserve it. But I do find myself thinking today about people who aren't nasty by nature, but who fall for this. The people who the Daily Mail is thinking of today. Your mum, perhaps, or your dad. Your nan or your Uncle Bob. The people the Daily Mail is thinking of today, whose lives are all right, okay? Things are far from perfect, but we're bumbling along quite nicely. And the Daily Mail and Nigel Farage and all the usual suspects, they don't want them to be peaceful and happy. They want them to be hate-filled and angry. They want them to be frightened and cross, because that's how they get money, that's how they get attention, and that's how they get votes. Now, I don't have anybody like that in my life. More, I suspect, through luck than judgment. Before my late father passed away 10 years ago, he was just beginning to absorb some of the Daily Mail's rhetoric. He was just beginning, because Mum would get it for the TV guide, and they'd take the Times, but only on the days when he could bother to walk to the newsagents. The Mail was always in the house, and it's just beginning to mention some of the things about, because he was a pensioner, and the idea that people like him weren't being looked after, and people who were less deserving were being looked after. My dad was a very intelligent man, and I'm sure that he would have given his head a wobble and come out of the cave, as it were, and we had some heated but respectful conversations about it. But that's the closest I've ever come. The closest I've ever come to having someone in my life who chooses to believe this bile, who reads the front page of today's Daily Mail, 1 in 6 of us born overseas, and doesn't think of the Prime Minister's parents, or the Home Secretary's parents, or the Chancellor of the Exchequer's wife, or the Foreign Secretary's mum, or the last Prime Minister but one, who was, of course, born in the States and comes from Turkish heritage. I speak of Boris Johnson. I think they changed the family name in order to camouflage the what he would probably call the exotic roots. And I do feel immensely sorry for them, or for you, or for whoever it is that we're talking about. My friend Gary put up a clip yesterday from years ago. Sometimes in the office it's a little bit weird, because we have a screen that tracks the activity and the business being done on the LBC website, and then something comes out of nowhere. One of my colleagues said, "Have you just tweeted that EDL thing?" And it was Gary who tweeted, just dug it out of the archive because of the direction of traffic on the programme this week and in the news this week. A bloke who rang in and described his journey from being an EDL knuckle dragger, and I use that phrase advisedly. It's not a permanent state of affairs. It is fixable. It is something that can be improved upon. But he went from being an EDL knuckle dragger to being much happier, much more informed, much better informed. He was kind enough to credit this programme with having been the catalyst for that process. And I do think about people like that on days like today, because I don't know what it would be like. You see, I have this weird perspective. I only know the people who profit from it, you see. My background is in newspapers. I've been doing this job now for a long time. So I know the people who profit from it. I even had to work for a while with a woman who described people in the channel as cockroaches. I watch the people who profit from it. They don't give a fig about you. They couldn't care less about what's happening in Dover. All they know is that their business gets an almighty boost every time they encourage you to start hating on the 1 in 6 of us who were born overseas, or thumping their drums about the wisdom of deporting refugees to Rwanda. They don't even put in the effort to understand the issues. They don't know that we're currently around about 19th in Europe in real terms for the amount of asylum applications that we process. They don't know that the numbers at the minute are nowhere near as high as they've been, well within living memory. They don't even understand that conscious decisions by successive governments have left the English Channel, the hazardous passage across the English Channel, as being the only route that the relatively small number of asylum seekers that we deal with in this country can take to get here. And why do they want to come here? Answer: there will be family or friends, or very simply an ability to speak English. If you had to start again somewhere and you were given the choice of 5 countries, one of which use the language you understand and can speak, which one would you choose? Go on, take a moment to think about it, if that's a difficult question. You've got 5 countries to choose from, to start from scratch after your whole life has been blown to pieces. You've got 5 countries, 4 of them, no one will understand a word that you're saying. One of them, you could probably at least begin to get by. And in fact, 5 countries, one of them, your uncle lives there. The other 4, you don't know a soul. 5 countries, one of them, you've got family, you've got friends there. The other ones, you don't know a soul. You've got a bed to lie in. You know, there might even be a job for you if your application is successful. There blooming better be, because God knows. That's one of the main reasons you've made this journey, is to start earning some moolah. It's mad, right? So, what are these people cross about? 03456060973. Are they actually deep? I mean, would it just take a little turn of the dial for them to be furious about Suella Braverman's parents having been born overseas, or Dominic Raab's dad having been born overseas, or Boris Johnson having been born overseas, or Rishi Sunak's parents having been born overseas, or Jeremy Hunt's wife having been born overseas, or Nigel Farage's wife having been born overseas? Are they? I mean, why aren't they cross? Who are they cross about? What is this editorial idiocy designed to achieve? Why does it work? Why does it work? 03456060973. But the question I really want to ask, and the one late Duke of Edinburgh, of course, born in Corfu, Sid James of the Carry On films, born in South Africa, Cliff Richard, born in India, Spike Milligan, born in India, Joanna Lumley, born in India, thank you, Howard, in Llandudno. We could go on, of course, Freddie Mercury, born in Zanzibar. I want to know what it's like to love someone who falls for this stuff. 03456060973. And I want to know what we can do to help. This may be an entirely inappropriate approach to the topic. I don't know. And I'm already thinking, shouldn't we be more worried about the actual refugees, about the actual asylum seekers? But we don't know them. We can't get them on the phone. We can perhaps address the poison that's been poured into the ears of our country, and in many cases of our loved ones. And together we might just be able to come up with an antidote, some sort of antidote. And yesterday I shared 2 simple facts with you, both statistical, that should really explode almost all of the xenophobic rabble-rousing that goes on every time you turn on your telly or open up your newspaper. The proportion per capita that we process compared to other European countries is a pittance, a relative pittance, nowhere near the top 10, barely in the top 20. And the very simple measure of how many people are applying for asylum in this country, which is still much lower than it was 10 years ago or even 20 years ago. It goes up and down. I mean, we're high-ish at the moment, but nowhere near as high as we have been. And those simple statistics should soothe the most fevered brow. But you won't hear them in most coverage. You won't read it in most newspapers. You'll just be told that ordinary people hate foreigners just as much as hugely well-paid columnists and commentators do. It's another ugly thing that's emerged in the last few years. Ordinary people. There's a woman in the Telegraph called Alison Pearson. A couple of weeks ago, she was insisting that ordinary people love Liz Truss. And now she's insisting that ordinary people love Suella Braverman. Well, I'm quite happy to be extraordinary, if that's the case. Because I judge people by their conduct, by the content of their character, by their actions, not by their origins. Because if I judged people by their origins, if I looked down on people because of where they came from, then I would have an enormous problem with half of the cabinet's parents at the moment, or their wives. And of course I don't, because I'm not racist. But maybe that's unfair. Maybe your Uncle Bob's not racist. Maybe your mum's not racist. So what exactly are they so cross about? And what's it like to love someone who falls for the anti-refugee violence, verbal violence, that has, as I predicted with a heavy heart on Monday, once again completely swamped our national conversation? It's 10:20.